we find Team Freedom up 2-0 over Simplicity, but it has not been without a fight. Simplicity has fought back every step of the way, but unable to close out a game just yet. Welcome back. Dreadnought, Simplicity, they're bringing the fight. They're getting the kills, but they need more.
Yeah, you got to find a way to close out games, which I can't help but feel like maybe part of the fact that they haven't had necessarily that level of success. We don't often see them in games where it's like, okay, this win condition is there. And because of that, to be honest, it feels like almost like learning to close out games have been difficult moments. And I specifically think of that Tomb of the Spider Queen boss on top while Web Weaver's coming in with 20 advantage. That was a moment where you could tell decision-making was very much, should we be with this? Should we be auto-clearing? And what do we do there? And that, for me, was the kind of breaking point of it. Feels like that is a miss here, at least for now in games 1 and 2.
Well, let's find out where game number 3 is going to be and who's taking us there. It will be Team Freedom picking up Infernal Shrines, their sandbox, a place they like to play, and a map that, when it comes to macro control, they know how to do it almost as good as anybody on this battleground, but definitely here in North America.
This is a battleground based on the skill level displayed by Team Freedom in the past that I would look at, and even though Tomb macro, Dragonshire also macro, I feel like it's going to be more of a setback for Simplicity in this game, and I would really like to see them definitely have a approach here to the early game. Also, one thing to keep in mind, games 1 and 2, Collusion on Tyrande. Tyrande playstyle does not cater to the Greymane split push compositions that we see here.
It's very much true. The Greymane, we know what to expect. They love to pair it with the Anubarak, one of the best heroes at diving and taking forts, spawning those beetles, allowing you to siege a little longer than you could before. We haven't seen Deckard yet. This is a very good Deckard battleground for him to control around the shrines. But when you look over at Team Freedom, you have to think, are they going to be there for you to even control them in the early game?
Yeah, and another hero also in the support realm who is very standout when looking at Infernal Shrines, it's Whitemane. She's been able to perform very, very well. I believe Infernal Shrines was even her highest performing battleground so far. So we'll see if that does end up coming to light here.
I misread a stat earlier. Tyrande was not undefeated earlier. Definitely not, you know, the OP hero that I first thought, but definitely very strong that we'll see.
Still first picked,
still
twice
first
in
picked.
a row. And even though in North America she's undefeated, technically, J-How, though the games haven't been as clean or Tyrande-esque as I expected, they have very much been there for Freedom. As we get Simplicity banning out the Diablo. Took a long time to be able to conclude onto that one. Can't help but feel like the trade-off of the Tyrande-Johanna argument coming to light here again. I don't think we're going to get a first take of Tyrande this game. And if we do, I feel like it shows how much value Freedom puts into the Tyrande compared to everything else based on how little she does around the shrine.
As you can see in the ticker, don't forget, opening week available to attend for this year's HGC Finals. Prior to BlizzCon, you can attend that at the Blizzard Arena in LA. So tickets are available there if you want to check that out in person. Maybe you make a full week's trip. You come to opening week and then you head over to BlizzCon. If you can do that, we will definitely be seeing you there.
That's what you and I are going to do.
I like it.
Yeah, just get the full trip there. Medivh is the ban there for Team Freedom.
I get to go for free, though.
Yeah? Do you?
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
It's
VIP status?
But it'd be great if the more people we can see there. We will definitely make ourselves available. If you want to say hi, Dreadnought, you can check out his hair in person.
Yeah.
It's unlike anything you've ever seen before.
I can increase that incentive, actually. As the plans currently stand, still working on it, you know, but I actually plan to bring my parents to opening week.
Oh.
You can even meet Dadnaught and Dreadmom.
Okay, did you get your hair from Dreaddad or Dreadmom?
Definitely Dreadmom.
Okay.
She has definitely got the thick, luscious locks. Maev is the first pick here for Simplicity. Still sticking to that death ball approach that we got from them last week. Got it from them in the last game. It was paired with Tyrael. I believe 3 out of the 4 times we've gotten that from them. See if that comes to light. Yrel and Raynor, the 1-2 there. Notice how the Tyrande, very different priority here from Freedom.
It does bring up the question of, will they be playing more around the shrines? Will they try and fit the Greymane later into the draft? The other thing to keep in mind here, the only other change that we really had on this patch that we're on, there was, I believe it's this patch, the small change to Lifebinder. I'm not saying that would be the hero, but it is something to consider because it is Infernal Shrines. This is where Alexstrasza used to shine. We saw more Alexstrasza start to come in with the earlier Lifebinder changes in July, but some minor changes to revert some of that and some counterplay options has brought Alexstrasza maybe out of the upper hemisphere and maybe more closer to the ground.
Not gonna lie, in my heart, she always was on the ground. She's never gone cleansing flame level of ascension. Not quite yet. I will say one thing that breaks my heart on the inside here, knowing that Tyrande is picked up by Simplicity, high probability of that being played by Tiger JK, but just K1 Pro, for anybody who didn't know way back, was a very go-to Tyrande player. He's a standout within the hero. It's much like his Jaina.
I'm writing down the draft, Maiev, Tyrande, and I go to write Muradin, and I write M-U-R-A-N-D-E.
Yeah, Miranda, baby.
I'm like, already etching it in. I'm like, well, that's not the hero, but it is the combo.
It is. It is the original combo. Diablo was a nice follow-up, but he wasn't the exact same, and eventually became a bigger beast within the duo there. As we got the Blaze ban out, Blaze ban, whenever you have the Tyrande on the other side, I feel like having that pause button is always something nice to be able to rely on, and he has such good off-lane macro pressure, it's always a soft counter to Tyrande compositions, but instead it's going to be a Thrall here for Freedom and that White Mane.
White Mane, one of these supports with a cleanse through her own special version, the Intercession. Speaking of cleanses, part of that Bright Wing rework, cleanse on her trait. Be fun to see that, and if Bright Wing comes into the meta.
You know, this is a little weird, but moving forward, I would like to find better terminology and vernacular when looking towards cleanses versus unstoppable enforcers versus just removal of semi-bad things, right? Because in my mind, cleanse is White Mane. White Mane has a cleanse. Very few heroes have cleanse as
semi-bad thing.
It is the removing of bad, specific debuffs. It's just not the same. There's a difference from forcing unstoppable and removing bad things. Cleanse, in my brain, will always be the unstoppable. I'm not saying we have to move with that terminology for moving forward, but there is a difference on how they impact the game itself, and White Mane is one of those true outliers that enforces that unstoppable.
So here comes the answer to the SBT, the semi-bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Nailed it. All right. We're changing the vernacular as we go forward.
SBTs and cleanses.
The Arthas pickup Dreadnought, again, towards the Maiev.
Yeah.
Does do well on Shrines. This is a map that at times you and I had discussed, maybe in the meta about a year or so ago, about how Arthas, at that point in time, could act as a very good second tank in terms of that off-lane role because he does contribute so much to the objective.
Yeah, that's a really good point that you bring up there, and something that will be problematic for Simplicity. Normally, before the Arthas answer to Maiev becoming popular, when we talk about Shrine control, you have Diablo and you got Johanna. Diablo's a little bit different in how he kind of approaches that, and Johanna with the wave clear and condemning, enabling somebody else. But yeah, Arthas is really that only target and the primary warrior role that can make that happen, other than debatably Leo in the offlane, right? And so already with Simplicity picking that up, it's exciting to see more Arthas. I'm not gonna lie though, I wanted more Arthas in North America, but I didn't think it would be this consistent as a response to the Maiev as it has been. It's been almost 1-to-1 for 2 weeks straight.
This was the map that we saw Team Freedom use a Sergeant Hammer with that follow-up with the Medivh. I'm hearing
it's
bells.
The chimes, yeah, the little, I don't know what skin that is, but apparently somebody's got a nice jingle going on.
Jingle jangle. But that was...
Illusion's feeling it.
That was with the Medivh, just due to the lack of mobility. Here, we won't have that available.
Get ourselves the spell power pickup here for Simplicity at level 1. With Arthas having a root, it makes a lot of sense not to go forward the cleanse opportunity there. Also a root on Thrall. And convenient enough, post 13, also available for White Mane.
Roots and roots and roots. Zuna coming in on Leo. Oh. I'm trying to think of how many times I've said that.
I can tell you this much. I don't know the last time that I saw Zuna on the Leo, but it definitely has had polar results throughout his entire competitive career. Not right now, though. Setting up that first blood here for Simplicity as they find that kill onto Yrel. Great job coming out from them.
I'm checking phase 2 stats. No Leo, but we will definitely get a Leo here. Lutano getting slowed down.
He's dead.
K1 Pro with the body blocks. Collusion trying to keep him alive. White Mane healing, by the way.
Notice how long Tiger took to throw out that Lunar Flare. There was body blocks the entirety of that time, but you can already judge confidence levels based on that. I think a more confident Tyrande throws that on the Rainer after the body block comes through and positions it to where it's a lose-lose scenario, gets the kill a little bit faster. It's not a moment where it sets them back, and I don't think it's going to, but when I see moments like that, I think you get a lot more information on how comfortable in, overall performance a hero or a player is going to be on that. And it's something to look forward to later in the game. If a raw Lunar Flare is the make or break moment, we might not get it.
Zuno will go back and tap under assault momentarily by Team Freedom. This Leo pick, there's a really interesting dynamic. Rainer rework, old school hero.
Yeah.
Old school heroes didn't have some of the mobility that some of our newer heroes have.
Okay.
Malfurion losing the ice block. Tyrande on the side of Leo this time, but Whitemane, no mobility. Arthas, no mobility. The Entombs look much better now in this. We'll see how long this meta lasts, but it looks really good against compositions like this.
It does. And sustained DPS is also one of the things that you look at when you question, will the Auric fit within the meta? If it's all burst meta, not really. He doesn't really do too hot in that avenue, but he does within the sustained DPS meta, which is part of the reason I feel like, more of the heroes that are good at that sustained DPS typically don't have that burst out or the gap closer either. It's just a general trend that we kind of see among those heroes, and it also works when it comes to the meta itself. We do get a raw Lunar Flare that time, though, out from Tiger. See how that works as this game moves on, because he did go with the stack there at level 4. That was the first stack he was able to find.
Oh, Hosty trying to use his agility. We got the fight down in the bottom. See if Tyrande can keep him alive. Hosty does get the agility out. There was a really clever rotation by Zugrug on that Arthas to take the angle that he did and try and get that collapse. I think it was up to Hosty in that situation to save his natural agility. He did a very good job on saving that. There's going to be the stun follow-up. Zugrug gets pulled back, takes some damage as the mark is on, forced to walk away.
Another moment, though, where the triple CC synergy is not as fluid as I think you would normally expect between the Maiev, the Tyrande, and the Murd and Stormbolt. The only reason I bring that up, J-How, is because you talked about how the difference from when Tyrande was last in the meta to now is that there's been an entire rework in between both of those versions, and that was after the universal stun nerf came out across the board. Cleansing has been removed, stuns have been removed since that point in time. So that makes that the kill potential is there, but the stacking of them is a lot less forgiving. You need to be very perfect with your CC control in this meta with her.
Leo does have that good clear with the cleave on his autos, and his skeletal swing has done enough to establish a lead. Zugrug and team trying to zone out Simplicity. Zuna able to Wraith walk away, but just 4 more needed here for Simplicity to try and snipe these away.
Looks like they're going to move back up here. As Lutano able to zone off for a moment there. Nasmus trying to make it out. Stormbolt lands. Lunar Flare not in range yet. Will he get it as it goes through the wall? Answer is yes. Another stack there.
K1 Pro had to go get globes. He was very low on mana. I think they would have liked the follow-up. Nice root there. Massive root goes down.
Yeah, that's due to the almost completion there already of the level 1 coming out from
that was just a raw.
Oh, no, that was just a raw. Backhand, you're right.
That's why it was like, that's impressive.
I was looking at that and I was like, that interrupted the dwarf toss, so that had to be with the, chain all the way through the Howling Blast. But you're right, he took Rhino level 1, so that was just flat out a near flawless on all fronts Howling Blast.
You'll very rarely see them that well placed. That's why, trust me, I had to double check. I had to do my talent double check. I'm like, did he have the level 1? Because he just rooted 3 there. That was impressive.
And mid dwarf toss.
Yeah.
Ridiculous here from Freedom. Camp, though, picked up by Simplicity. Still no major momentum gained by either side quite yet here. Is that first Punisher? Not too easy to siege up with, especially as we talked about. Maiev wanted to pull away from that, and the composition that Simplicity has usually, ideally would like to wait to 10, mainly because the Hanzo initiation capabilities. It's just, and also K1 Pro's initiation capabilities there on that Maiev.
Will be interesting. You mentioned the combo in game number 1. between the Dragon Arrow and the Starfall, whether we get that again or whether Shadow Stomp comes out.
Oh, I would say with Warden's Cage, I'm taking Starfall all day.
Yeah, that is a very good
I am just
point.
going to give mad value within that choke, hit a 2-man Lunar Flare. There might be an opportunity where you argue for the late game. You can go for some backdoor plays, but I don't feel like Infernal Shrines promotes that. If this was like Cursed or Dragon, maybe, purely off the Battleground, I could see that adjustment, but I don't know. Starfall is already scary before when you're stuck in it. Feels like meteors, not just stars, as Zuna's seeing a bit of meteors around his head right now, as Yoda giving him the 1-versus-1 trade heavily in favor of Thrall.
K1 Pro on Dragonshire got rooted towards the end this time. Will vault and dodge. Death Coil unable to confirm the kill. The K1 Pro forced to go ahead and hearth back.
It's a good route there from Yoda, allowing him to gain that distance and make sure it doesn't get mad value out of that heal. It's a lot of the trading capabilities coming out from Leo there. Because it is Starfall. We're yet to see if it's Containment Disc or not. Looking over towards Freedom, though. We get ourselves a Hyperion rather than the Raider. Just more siege capabilities with that Punisher that, you know, he's not always the brightest of lads when it comes to prioritizing structures versus heroes.
Fairly even throughout this game. 2 kills to 1, no major advantages. All forts still standing. Camp picked up by Simplicity. Team Freedom picked up theirs before. 20 seconds away from the next shrine. Leo will focus down at least that Shaman. With Team Freedom, they're going to see if anybody else joins this, see if they can catch somebody out. Hosty will give vision. Wraithwalk will allow Zuna to walk away.
As the game moves on to 13, that's going to be a lot more difficult to get the kill onto Zuna. We see the Dragon's Arrow come out. There is the cleanse out from Collusion. There's a lot of healing used. There is the Entomb lockdown with the Warden's Cage. Simplicity bringing all of Freedom back, but they're losing HP so much that I don't know if they want this fight. Starfall already down. Tiger JK on full retreat here as Nasmus moves up with that leap. Look at K1 Pro trying to get the kite around. Great Howling Blast there by Zugrug. The prediction coming out from him, but somehow Simplicity only lose Zuna on the Leoric.
Yeah, the follow-up routes by both Arthas and Thrall in that situation, both of them, they both might have hit at that point, but very good follow-up there. K1 Pro trying to time it out to just the last second, able to walk away, but that forces everybody from Simplicity to go back. The white main healing in those situations, Dread, just seems super impactful to sustain that style through the Starfall.
Yeah, very much is here. And now we got to see when it comes to default kits, who's able to trade up over the other, as Nasmus is the only hero left with the heroic opportunity other than the Entomb out from Zuna. Still 10 skeletal advantage in favor of Team Freedom here as the next wave about to spawn in. Nasmus leaps up on the cap.
Those engagements post-13 I think are going to look very different with the Wraithwalk capabilities of getting the damage reduction as well as the healing statics. Dragon Arrow forced to be used there. The Sunder just missed sniping onto Hosty in the background. They do pick up the kill onto Zuna. Here's the Starfall, the resets for K1 Pro on that fan. Able to dish out some damage, but not enough to trade out. Simplicity forced to hearth back again as they'll have a tough defense as Punisher coming in 9.5 minutes in.
But Hyperion just came online for Lutano. We'll see if he ends up wanting to use it here or save it for a team fight later on. Siege is going to come through here. This will kick the 13 talents here over to Team Freedom. But not committing all members to the Siege shows that they don't really have that much interest in ensuring that this actually drops.
Yeah. That Hyperion, I think they wanted to take the fort down prior to that.
Yeah.
Before having to commit to the Hyperion and save it. Thrall was forced to respond to the Leo. The Yrel already, a 4-man push makes sense. A 3-man push.
Seems like you're giving up on it almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so much so that I would have rather see if it's a 3-man push just open with the Hyperion because you know you got to commit that amount of resources. Freedom didn't set them back that much. I think it's just one of those moments where, you know, testing their limits, biting off a little bit more than can chew, but it's not like the punishment was there to really set them back by any means here, as they still have nearly a full level lead.
But you and I talk about timing a lot, and it's situational at best. But if this fight takes place in the next 30 seconds, that Hyperion's still 20 seconds away from being off cooldown.
Yeah.
13 picked up by Simplicity. If they find an invade, they know that that Hyperion's still there. So there's always that timing, and the variable thing is always, well, I have these variables in my control. I don't have these variables in my control, and it allows me to dictate how I'm going to approach the next 30 seconds, minute. And that might be enough to maybe change the way Team Freedom approaches the next level of play.
When I way back was a player, I think when I would approach topics like that, when I would go whether or not, you know, okay, I did this, but it should have been flawed, but my opponent just didn't punish me, right? Well, more often than not, we look at North America, and when we hear them talk about some of the other regions and some of the other teams, especially when they perform internationally, we always hear punishment is the highest thing here.
Yeah.
So in my brain, how I approached it was, I didn't get punished here, but somebody else will. And if you answered every question with somebody else will, you suddenly go, okay, we got to clean this up a lot faster with that kind of assumption in line. And I can't help but feel like Freedom is absolutely a team of that kind of caliber to be thinking that way, especially since the adjustments with their coaching staff and things of the like post-Western clash. But for now, a bit slow here into the mid-game as Freedom just continue their advance towards the 16.
Simplicity has one of the better 13 spikes when we look at healing static for Muradin, the slow and damage reduction for Tyrande, and then the damage reduction for Leo. You're going to miss out on that 13 window. They did take down the fort and the well on the side of Team Freedom. Team Freedom trying to return the favor, but the response by Simplicity, see if it's enough, and in time, they're coming in. If they just get the well, does Team Freedom, it's a win, but they're unable to do so. So that's a resource available for Simplicity during this next defense.
See what Simplicity does here. Mid lane cleared, bottom lane prepped. Rotation from Freedom towards the mid lane, as they know that was going to be the case because of the Impalers. Zuna still off in the off lane, but that's exactly what he is looking to do there on that Leorc. Very safe. Race to 16, slightly ahead by Freedom. K1's going to go ahead and start this shrine. See if any skeletal defenders get picked up without the 16. About 7. Honestly, that's a lot more than I expected.
Yeah.
That is a huge advantage. 9 even, for that matter.
Leo managed to pick up 16 in the mid lane, which means he'll come in. King Caffeine walking forward with those healing tools available, can now stand on this front line a lot longer. Army of the Dead out here. The Entomb locks down a few on the back, but this is the wrong way. Here comes the Warden's Cage with the White Mane healing out in return.
Yeah, great use of that Aegis. Perfectly timed with the Warden's Cage coming in, hitting all 5 members, and at that point, it's not much of a trade-off there for the White Mane. Howling Blast does come through on out from Zugrug onto King Caffeine. Now Skeletal Defenders, the focus here for Freedom. 26 seconds till Zuna's going to be back, which you should look at as more like 20, as that is the White Mane cleanse coming out. No cleanse available over this next skirmish, and Zuna's back in 13. 32 Skeletal Defenders here for Freedom. They're going to get the Punisher, and Zuna, yeah, is too late on spawn.
Yeah, Team Freedom knew that they had that small window. They made every second count, pick up a Punisher. They'll move forward here. King Caffeine finishes his baseline, not yet his level 1 to 25 with that bonus, but the damage continuing to stack.
J-Hal, based on that last fight and now the performance we're getting here by Collusion onto the White Mane, it's the second time we've really seen him use a Great Scarlet's Aegis into the Zeal benefit, into his healing damage output, and the health bars haven't looked that close every single time. Simplicity needs to pressure Collusion. Otherwise, this game, I feel like it's still going to be watch the initiation, watch the Scarlet Aegis, and then the turnaround is there. 4-man Dragon's Arrow, hit and response. Aegis, there it is, drops. See how much healing output comes out in the downtime. Not as much as Collusion would have liked there. Not even landing the Lash.
You mentioned the Lash, going into the Lash talent at 16 to get the cooldown. There's going to be the tether in. If the Punisher stays distracted by those minions, it might be enough. Only 2 minions left. If the keep stands, that's great. There's the focus on to Nasmus. He uses Divine Steed to walk away, and the dismount does not land there for King Caffeine, but Collusion does fall. Yoda trying to walk away. K1 Pro comes in to clean up. Nasmus with the knock away. Lutano, his life is forfeit. Simplicity holds their keep and turns around and takes 3 members.
Yeah, that's one of those moments where I can't help but feel like the Aegis timing usage with the lack of damage to get the healing output immediately afterwards. Simplicity just says, like, they're down in Aegis. We can get that all-in concern that over the last fight, it didn't look that close, but when you aren't getting the healing capabilities after the point, you're only getting the armor and the immediate burst heal out from the Aegis, which is not the large threat that Aegis provides. It's the damage output capabilities for the 8 seconds that the team has the Zeal. So great job here by Simplicity, punishing and even forcing the ability to keep their keep alive. Like, that was clean from beginning to end.
So now they're going to take that opportunity, grab 2 forts, amplify that race towards 20, which, given the timing, might be in favor of Simplicity to hit that 20 spike. Team Freedom, if Simplicity picks up 20, Team Freedom will more than likely be backdooring that top keep to, 1, get experience, but 2, take battleground control, and then rotate over. If Simplicity is planning for that now,
they should already be over their night camp, or shaman camp, excuse me, and be ready to flank where Zuna is on the back end and look for a 2-man collapse. But judging by the positioning, that is very much not the case. And good night, top keep. The question is, do they get a kill after Zuna?
Dragon Arrow's available.
Dismount, not going to go for it.
Wow. If they are not picking a fight there, Dreadnought, would it have not been a better choice to maybe counter push another lane?
Yeah, because at this point now you're responding in a situation you can't be able to force. I think the thought process behind that, though, was Leo. How he can always mount up, and that's why you see this attempted force, but Chain's coming out against K1 Pro. There's the ball. Sundering thrown down as the Warden Cage actually connects. Dragon's Arrow is going to go through the uprights here as the Aegis dropped there by Collusion. Healing output still just fine. Lutano on the side there, just wailing away onto the health bar of Zuna, and now Freedom is going to back out. But I think that was it. The Wraith Walk cooldown and distance you gain, as long as you get a dismount with the Sentinel, you're going to always be able to chase it down. Just Freedom held their own whenever the Entomb comes out.
Well, 20 not quite here. One of those towers would have confirmed that. The camp will help. They should have 20, but the timing with which they will get to the shrine, see if it's quick enough to take advantage of that as Team Freedom doing their own work to get experience back. Nasmus trying to find an extra 250 from this tower. Unable to do so. Shrine active. 20 picked up by Simplicity. See what they can do with it.
9 skill to defender. Advantage over the last shrine, but still victory shown by Freedom over the last shrine. 10 this time. And still counting.
Zuna on the backside. He does have it. See if he can make something happen. Trying to get onto the back line. He's about to lose his life if he doesn't drop it. Does drop it, but no body blocks. Nobody to keep him alive. That's a major loss here for Simplicity.
It is. It's one of the situations where I actually think holding on to the Entomb this late, it would have been a bigger trade-up purely because of the Buried Alive. Pre-Buried Alive, I think that's still a fine play to look for the lockdown as the Leo ends up going down. But not getting that lockdown pretty much goes, here's going to be a death. Here's a Punisher over to Team Freedom. And Jayhao, it may be more than that. It might be game. It may even be series here.
Now, we've seen this before. They need to get back in defense. They're trying to clear out that top lane. I'm not sure what the overall thought process is. The catapults generally hold off against this style of push. They're trying to get as much out of it. But there's nobody here to defend before the Punisher ever gets here.
Front wall and fort taken undefended by Simplicity. Zuna will be back now as he ends up getting the spawn there. Punisher leap out, 15 seconds till the next one here. Cap's gonna get follow-up rooted. There's the Buried Alive along with the Dragon's Arrow hitting down 2, but the kill already coming in onto K1 Pro as Nasmus giving armor to all of Team Freedom there. Collusion trying to survive as Zuna getting pressure on the backline, throws down the lashes, and leap out from the Punisher seals the deal here. Hyperion out, focus onto the keep, then focus on to the core. Team Freedom look to close out this series.
Should be enough. The 4th member goes down. Hosty just trying to survive, but the Punisher 30+% will be enough to close out this game. Team Freedom will take it 3-0. Simplicity, they fought strong and they fought hard in a lot of situations, Dreadnought. But it's just minor misplays. Going back to the point you made about some of our top teams when they go to international competition, it's the punishment off of those misplays. Team Freedom here within North America, they know how to capitalize on misplays you make. In each game, there was something in the later part of the game where Team Freedom's like, okay, now we'll end. And it happened in every single game.
Yeah, and that is the kind of experience, you know, that you're talking about, I feel like, of Team Freedom, and also the level of caliber of play that we've been learned to expect here from Team Freedom so far. We did see them be willing to take team fights, though, into Simplicity here. It wasn't maybe with as clean control as I maybe would have liked, but I can't help but feel like on that note of, are we getting the macro? Are we getting the team fight version of Freedom? We got the team fight version for the most part here, just maybe not, again, as clean in their skirmishes as I feel like we could expect from them.
Simplicity does have some work to do. They need wins. They need wins, not just match wins, but just game wins. And they came close. And what felt like a couple of these, they had small advantages throughout. That last engagement and a half, seemed to fall short. There's miscommunication or misplays. I'm not sure where to narrow the focus, but they're so close. It feels like in each of these games that one minor change, you go back to the Dragonshire game, if everybody full commits and they don't try and chase and commit that Arthas skill, maybe they felt they needed that Arthas skill to have one more layer of defense away from the side of Team Freedom. If they all commit the same way that you said, knowing they had the DK and the sanctification outside of that, maybe it's a different game. Every step of the way, Simplicity was able to fight toe-to-toe. It's what they do best is fight. Team Freedom, I think this is good for them. Iron sharpens iron. And if you're going up against the team that is known to just team fight, and you're a team that is trying to make sure that your team fighting is up to par with the rest of the upper level of competition, it's a good test for them because their next opponent, Heroes Hearth. So it won't be easy. And that is something that Team Freedom against Heroes Hearth, you'll need to be able to do. Macro is not enough.
Yeah, it's a really good point that you bring up. They have to be able to be willing to take team fights up against Team Freedom. And Team Freedom, you know, comparatively to that of Simplicity, you're going to see a lot more synergy when it comes to things like, for instance, even the crowd control chain over the last game, right? When I was pointing out the stack between the Tether and the Lunar Flare, that kind of stuff is not going to exist. So it will be cool to see whether or not, you know, this was in fact maybe a stepping stone, if you will, here for Team Freedom towards that team fight, knowing that they're up against Heroes Hearth next week.
We get to talk to the person that played Tyrande this series, and probably had some fun with it. Collusion, welcome in, and congrats on the win behind some Tyrande play today.
Yeah, that was fun. Thank you.
Well, let's talk about your team right now because you've got a big weekend. You come in against Simplicity. People look at you as the favorites, but Simplicity put up a heck of a fight in a lot of these games. What is it about Simplicity that makes them just a tough out?
I mean, they always have been a good team, even though like they're not high in the standings. Like they always fight back. They always have good micro, always good plays. Always doesn't matter if they're low in rankings. So yeah.
So when we look at your team, it's seemed that you guys went really heavy into the macro. I talked to you about this last week, but here it seemed you guys were not willing to back down. You were willing to stand toe-to-toe in a lot of circumstances. The white main play in that last game was outstanding, by the way. But is that a focus for you guys to get back into the skirmish side of things and to fight and maybe not avoid some of the team fights?
Not necessarily. I think we just try to play like what our comp is supposed to do. Like if we're supposed to go in, we're trying to go in. Like that's basically it. We don't have like trying to go back in, like trying to play more macro or micro, whatever. Like we're just trying to win, basically.
Well, it worked today, 3-0. I'm going to pass you over to Dreadnought.
Collusion here now because you're our first Tyrande that we gotten so far here in North America. Here, I gotta ask, when and where do you feel like she stands when it comes to support power levels? Do you put her at near the top minus certain battlegrounds? Is she absolutely the top? What is Tyrande within our meta?
I mean, I don't want to say too much, obviously, but you know, you guys saw the draft. We first picked her, so she's pretty decent, you know. But yeah, she's been pretty good since her rework, and she's a lot of fun. So I'm happy with that.
And then also sticking it here to the meta pickups here, something that not only your team but a lot of North America has been using is a heavy consistency with the Arthas in response to the Maiev. I was just wondering, you know, what happened that made it to where it's like every team agrees that suddenly Arthas is in fact the answer to Maiev.
I just think that's basically it. I think like one or two teams figured it out, tried it in scrims, and it kind of just spread all over NA, you know. But yeah, he just doesn't die when Mav goes in and can put a lot of pressure on the backline. So that's why he's so strong right now.
Awesome, and that's all my questions here. Thank you very much, there, Collusion.
No problem.
Collusion, you guys have two killer opponents to round out this phase. You've got Heroes Hearth this weekend, and then you've got Octalis as a team that you could potentially be fighting for playoff positioning. It's something you guys have to look forward to. What's the importance factor on the Heroes Hearth victory, knowing that Octalis could potentially be waiting around the corner if you guys slip up here to try and take over that spot?
I mean, every series like matters. It's easy like that. Doesn't matter who we're playing. If we win, we have a chance to be a second seed, which give us a central server in playoff. So that's just what we're looking for. Doesn't matter who we play. We're just trying to 3-0 everyone.
Early thoughts on this Heroes Hearth series. They're still the #1 team. They're going through some transitions, some changes of their own. We'll hear more from you guys on Sunday. But your thoughts going in after you've gotten Simplicity out of the way today, your thoughts on that Heroes Hearth series coming up this weekend?
I mean, we played super well today, so hopefully we can do that again tomorrow, and hopefully easy 3-0.
Easy 3-0. That'll be fun to watch, Collusion. We're going to see if you can pull that off. But congrats on the victory today. The floor is yours.
Shout out to Freedom, shout out to my teammates, shout out to Livis, shout out to Twitch chat. You can check my stream. I stream once in a while, not often, but you know, why not? Twitch.tv/collusion. And yeah, thank you guys.
Appreciate it, Collusion. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Could be an easy 3-0 against Heroes Hearth. Woo.
I think he said hopefully an easy 3-0.
Hopefully.
But
still, to speak the words.
Yeah, to say the words, I think in itself display a certain level of confidence, right? I'm not trying to take away, but I'm just saying if we're going to be exact here.
You got to have that confidence still.
Otherwise, it is one of those battles where it's like, well, you've already lost the mental game, so you've pretty much already lost the game. I agree with you. Have to come in, go in. Heroes Hearth Esports, not necessarily we're going to dominate, but to say we will make you look good is probably going to be an overstatement.
Yeah, I mean, Team Freedom, they're a team that's been on the rise, some peaks and valleys, but if they can keep up this performance, round out, be the team that we know that they were at the Western Clash, they have a chance to pull that off. We'll see. But that's going to do it for this series. We still got one more coming your way. We've got No Tomorrow versus Endemic up next. We'll be right back.
Here is for Freedom.